there is one hidden molecule inside every man that determines whether they win or not. It's known as the secret of winners because that molecule has a big impact in risk taking, focus, aggression, confidence, the main components for a man, for a founder to win, to actually survive, to thrive, to success, to have success. So today I'm gonna cover what is testosterone and how can you increase it and the impact that this hormone has inside your body. And I want to start saying that this molecule is probably the main reason on why do you feel high stress and why do you feel low energy and why you don't have strength, why you have low capacity to gain muscle and to lose fat. Actually, I want to say if you have a high body fat percentage, I'm talking about 20% or more, you probably have low testosterone. The optimal range is around 12%. 12-14% is the optimal range for high testosterone. So that's your goal. That's the body fat you should aim for. And testosterone is what triggers everything in your life, affecting your relationships, your energy, your ability to have goals, to feel great, to actually want to go to the world and do things. And is one of the main components for bad mood, for depression, for anxiety. And a lot of people today are paying attention to, are going to therapy, trying to fix that. But what they don't understand is that this hormone is requiring you to actually go and do things. That is what we meant to be and to do in this world. And many people are trying to not pay attention to this hormone and trying to simply cover their emotions and wanting to do therapy to just think on, okay, so I'm not should be doing this or I should be doing another thing, and they trying to basically not listen to the signals to that their body is telling them. So if you feel lack of energy, lack of motivation, that means that you should be doing more, you should be achieving big things. That is how our society win, how our society thrives. If you observe the leaders over the last hundreds and even thousands of years, they were people who had a really big motivations, really big goals, really high standards. They wanted to go and conquer, and testosterone was the main component for them to actually win. Is what makes them feel high energy. So testosterone basically has a very big impact when you have it in your decision velocity, meaning you make decisions faster. Second, in your dominance, which means that when you are rising or even when you are above, you stay there and you're still winning is the key for champions. And the last one is stress tolerance. So testosterone is the opposite to stress. So when you have high stress, you're gonna have low testosterone because basically the stress blocks your testosterone production, right? So what you want to do to actually have high testosterone is lower your stress. And when you do have a system to lower your stress, and by a system I mean your daily habits, what do you do in a daily basis? How is your sleep? Are you taking sunlight? Are you taking your vitamin D is high? Your stress is, do you feel like you have chronic stress? Because if you do have chronic stress, then you probably have low testosterone. And when you have high testosterone in the other place, your stress tolerance is gonna be higher because you can take more. Because when you have high stress and low testosterone, anything that you add, you're gonna burn out, you're gonna feel bad. And burnout is a signal that you have high stress and low testosterone. So this is why these three are the main for every founder, every person, every business owners, every professional that want to actually win. Because the world is a competence. The world is a competition between each other. And that's okay, that's good. Everyone, like everything in life is a competition. We compete for resources, we compete for food, we compete for power, for dominance, and that is part of us as a humans, right? We cannot just try to do not compete and to do not try to conquer, because that's against our biology, against our philosophy of life. How do we live? Like, it has been like that since hundreds and thousands of years. That's how we survive. So when we try to not have dominance, when we try do not do not compete, to do not dominate, to do not conquer, we are just oppressing our emotions that make us feel good, because what we have to do as a humans is build. So when we build, we feel great. When we do not build, we feel depressed and anxious and all the emotions that we feel today. Actually, today we have 40% less testosterone than just 20 years ago. Like, just 20 years ago, we had 40% more testosterone than now, which is amazing. It's almost half in only 2 decades. What does that tell you? That tells you that our lifestyle, our habits, how we live, how we eat, all that is going really bad. Because from a evolutionary perspective, like the Darwin theory, that we evolve over time, that is even a close amount of time to even make a really, like, to tell the body that we need to make some change, evolutionary tacking. Like, so that means that the testosterone percentage come 100% for how do we live. It's not evolutionary. It's not enough time. We need like thousands of years to evolve just a little bit, right? And producing less testosterone. So it's our lifestyle, 100%. So when you have low testosterone, basically what happens is that you have low energy and you're gonna rely on coffee all day to survive, to have energy. So when you have low testosterone, when you have low T, that means that you're gonna have no drive. First. Second, you're gonna have foggy thinking, you're not gonna have clarity, you're not gonna think, thinking, you're not gonna have that clear thinking that you know what to do. So if you have like low capacity to take in decisions, and this is a big thing, it's because you have low testosterone, right? Why? Because every decision involves risk. Everything in life is risky. Like, if you go to the supermarket to shop something, you can be shot. Who knows? I mean, God bless you and that not happen to you, but it can happen. It's around the possibilities. But our brain don't want to take risks when we have low testosterone, right? But when we have high testosterone in the other place, we take more risks, right? So we take more decisions, even if the decision is not right. Like, many times in life, we have to take decisions, and even if that is not the right decision, we take the decision, we learn from our mistakes, and we move forward. But if we take any decision, if we don't take any decision, then what we know 100% is that we are in the same place and we don't know anything. So if we do and we fail and we take decisions, we know what not to do. And that is a good thing, because that's how we progress in life. Then we have procrastination. Procrastination, right? Which is, again, really big, because Procrastination is basically the fear of failing. We procrastinate when we don't feel like capable of doing things. But that also has to be with risk taking. If you are not afraid of taking risks, then you're not gonna procrastinate too much because you're gonna say, okay, I gotta get things done. That is what is most important. Things do not happen just in your mind. You have to do things in the world to actually make them happen. You're not gonna get in shape just thinking about getting in shape. You have to go to the gym, put the reps, eat the food, rest, recovery, and do it again daily for 1 year, and you're gonna see results. But that takes movement, action. And the last one is depression, right? Depression. Why do you feel depressed? Because you're not having that inner drive that actually makes you move, right? You feel depressed because you are not building, because you are not being aligned to who you are. Like, we are all humans, we are meant to build. That is what makes you happy. When you are not building, when you are not progressing, your brain sends signals to your body that you should move. Like, depression is just a signal that you should be doing more, right? We try to cure this going to therapy and try to cure this thinking, oh, I'm bad, why I don't feel depressed, and having all this reasoning of thinking. But think about it, like 1,000 years ago, we didn't have that. We didn't have any therapy. The only thing we did is just go and conquer and do things and move. That is what we are meant to do, right? So depression is a signal that your body that you should be doing more. It's a good thing. If you are depressed right now, think, God, thank you, because I know what to do. You should move, you should take action. Like, the best cure to depression is to take action. You see how you're gonna feel after that. When you go to the gym, after the gym, why do you feel happy? Because your brain releases serotonin, and serotonin is known as the happiness hormone, the happiness substance molecule, right? Because what it does is basically tells you that, okay, you achieve, you conquer, and you should be doing this more. So your brain rewards you for moving. You see how simple it is? So the third thing is that how we can use this as an advantage, right? How can we use this as an advantage and to actually have this, what is the hormone loop that most founders and men have when it comes to testosterone. So when you, I'm gonna explain this right here. What happens is that testosterone, I'm gonna put T, okay? I'm gonna use T since now, has an impact to your performance, right? Performance. And what happens is that your performance impacts your confidence, right? Why? Because if you do something and you do great, you're gonna feel good, right? If you do something and you are not good enough, then you're not gonna feel that good, right? So that affects your confidence. And then your confidence has an impact in your testosterone. So when you win, you have testosterone spikes. When you lose, you have testosterone crashes. So what happened here is that how can you separate your testosterone and to have your testosterone in a constant high mood, in a constant high state? Can you do that? 100% you can. How do you do that? By your physiology. your diet, your habits, your sleep, your training routine. Those are the main ones, right? When you study testosterone, you realize that the main three components, and I'm gonna talk how to raise your testosterone here, but what I mean by this is that when you have your testosterone high all the time, you're gonna constantly have high performance. That's why to be a high performer, to be a man that really achieve things, and I'm talking about when you see a really big CEO, when you see a athlete, um, when you see a successful entrepreneur, when you see a person that really performs good, that is the best in his field. When you see those persons, those men, they have high testosterone. There are cases, for example, if you see Elon Musk, there are signals of Elon that he's not high in testosterone. But there are some cases where this not apply directly, like for example in Elon cases. I didn't see the blood or the panel blood of Elon, so to see like realistically to see testosterone, we should do a blood work, which is something that I recommend you to do. If you need help with that, you can text me on Instagram and I can coach you basically with high performance. But in Elon, for example, we should see his panel to actually see, what's going on there. But there are signals that he's not really high in testosterone. So what I like to argue is that he's really high in purpose, in just moving forward, and we have to see like how is his testosterone. But there are cases where maybe he's not constant with high testosterone, or maybe he has a really big purpose and all that. But if he would have high testosterone, his life would be completely different. I bet that he would be more happy. He would be happier. He would win even bigger that he's winning because he's a really big risk taking person. He takes really big risks. So that's some particular case that's interesting. So how to raise? I'm gonna put how to pick your testosterone, right? This is a big question. So I'm gonna give you just 6 steps that you have to feel to follow, and are gonna have really big impact in your testosterone. So when we talk about testosterone, we have to see at three main components, which are sleep. We have to take a look at stress levels, and we have to take a look to your nutrition. What are you eating, right? So for that, the main one is having 90 minutes of sunlight. Why? Because vitamin D is what you get in sunlight. So vitamin D is one of the main components to actually have a good metabolism to all your internal processes and mainly your hormonal processes to happen. So when you don't have vitamin D, probably you're gonna have low energy, you're not gonna feel good, right? So you want to take sunlight. The second is heavy lifting. And for this, what I recommend you is to do compound liftings. Why? For example, if you do a biceps curl, there's not much muscle involved in that movement. But if you do squats as another exercise, you're yes gonna have much more muscles involved, like your whole body. So your testosterone is produced in much more quantity. So you want to do compound movements like, for example, squats, presses, bench, deadlift, rows, all that kind of exercises, pull-ups. Um, then we want to remove processed sugar. Okay? Why do we want to remove processed sugar? Because good sugars is, for example, fruits, honey, like natural sugar. But processed sugar is refined sugar. So when you have like 100 grams of refined sugar and 100 grams of fructose of the sugar of a mango, for example, of a fruit, in the fruit you get micronutrients and it's nutrient dense food, nutrient dense sugar. But when you get processed sugar like a donut, for example, or pastries, you only are getting empty calories with sugar. This actually spikes your insulin and you create insulin resistance. So your metabolism is not optimal, and insulin resistance that you get when you eat processed sugar is an oppressor for testosterone production. So if you have insulin resistance, you're gonna have low testosterone, which means that donuts are a directly, and refined sugar is a directly testosterone killer. That's why you should avoid it. High protein breakfast, right? High protein breakfast. And so for this is basically, I do not recommend you to have high carbohydrates in the morning unless you're gonna do a workout. You can eat, for example, one slice of bread, or you can have bread is not the best carbohydrate, by the way. Um, but it's a fast digested. You can also get fruits. You can get, for example, oats, right? Those kind of food are carbohydrates that, well, oats are not quickly digested. So the best is just a fruit. For example, a apple, you can get mango, you can get any fruit, a orange, like any fruit that you want, because you get fructose and sugar, good sugar that you're gonna use for your workout. But otherwise, I just recommend you to not have carbohydrates in the morning and have in the other side just protein and good fats. For example, eggs and avocado is a really good breakfast. Or you can get Greek yogurt and some fruits, which is one of the best pre-workouts you can get, right? You can also get milk, right? And sleep before midnight. Why do we want to sleep before midnight? Because at 12 a.m. it's dark already. Depends where you live, right? Maybe you live in Alaska and the time is different. But essentially, you want to sleep before midnight. Because when it is dark, like, you have to understand that time of sleeping is not the same that actually recovering. So I see a lot of people thinking, oh, I sleep good because I sleep 8 hours. Well, let me tell you that sleeping 8 hours is not directly correlated to good sleep. You can sleep 5 hours and sleep better than if you sleep eight bad hours, right? The time that is recommended is, yes, 7 to 8 hours, but you want to make sure that that is actually good sleep. So how do you make sure of that? First of all, you have to be in a cold room, right? When it's really warm or really cold, you're not sleeping good. So your body have to have the right temperature for to have homeostasis and to actually be in a good temperature to for all the processes to recover your body, right? Then you want to make sure that the time that the sun is rising, you are waking up. So let's say, again, depends where you live, but let's say, and also depends what time of the year it is, if it is winter or summer. But let's say it's a.m. or 6 a.m. and the sun is rising. So if it is 6 a.m. and the sun is rising, that means that unless you sleep with, the if you sleep in a black room where you cannot see outside, uh, ideally what you want to do is to use the sun to wake up. So I sleep with my window open so I can see outside, and when the sun rises I wake up naturally without alarm. That's the natural rhythm, like the circadian, that is called your circadian rhythm. Like, what is the cycle, your inner cycle that your body used to recover. So if every day you go to sleep at the same time, when you are sleeping at 3 a.m., for example, is the deepest sleep that you are getting, your body while you are in that deep sleep is while all the processes happen, right? The deepest recovery. So you want to actually sleep at the same time. So because if you go to sleep at 12 a.m. and then the other day you go to sleep at 3 a.m., which is the time that you should be recovering, your body doesn't understand what is your inner cycle. So that is why it's important to have a pre-routine sleep and also sleep at the same time. And if you implement this and what I just covered, you're gonna have you're gonna raise your testosterone really quick. There are more things involved in this, like you need a whole protocol and do a panel blood test to actually be optimal with this and to keep it, which is something that I recommend. By the way, if you want to have a high performance and you want to work with an expert, with a mentor that can guide you, someone who did it, then there is a video in the description. It's a full video where I explain the 7 things that kills your testosterone. And down below in that video, there's a link where you can book a call so you can have a strategy session. It's for free, one-on-one with me. So if you are really committed to improve this part of your life, I don't want to waste time with people who are not committed. So if you're really committed and you actually want to improve this part of your life, feel free to book a call so I can help you and we can work together to raise your testosterone so you can grow more, make more money, conquer more, and be more successful. So subscribe if you like the video and see you in the next one. Bye bye.